why did you choose rather to spend time with your family and then afterwards push yourself to the edge of then only studying after your commitment, your family commitment? Why did you choose that route and not the other way around?
I would say because, my youngest child at that stage, she was still very young and she wanted time with me, so that's why I made the decision.
Would you rather encourage a family or to try and get an external source of income besides the primary job?
Yeah, yes, obviously, if you can afford something like that, first of all, if you can afford medical aid, yes, do that. We didn't have a medical aid, so my husband was stuck in that terrible hospital. I will never mention the name because, or just not mention the name, but yes, that was a terrible hospital, point number one. So if you can, get yourself a very good medical aid, and if you can afford putting money aside for in case of such an emergency, then have your strategy, have your medical aid, have money put away for emergencies if you can, because if it wasn't for our family, I don't know what would have happened with me, my husband and my child.
Could you tell me a brief outline of your life from being born to the current state of your life?
Alright, so I was born in a place called Van der Bijl Park. It's in Gauteng. I was the second youngest of 5 children, like I said. As far as I can remember, my dad was the one that works, my mom were at home. I won't say we were poor, but we were not rich. We were like your average type of family. At one stage, my older sister, she stayed with my grandparents for, I can't remember for how long. And then we moved to Mpumalanga, a place called Witbank. I think I was in grade 2 when we moved to Witbank. I think then my sister came live with us again. And at the early stage, my sister moved out of the house. I think she was 17 years old when she moved out of the house.
But how old were you at that stage?
I think I was grade 2. I think it's 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
So then my 2 brothers stayed with us, but then at the end, they were much older than us, you would say. So then they moved out, got married and stuff like that. Then it was just me and my younger sister Debbie. And then I met my husband when I was 17 years old. I got pregnant when I was 20 years old with Zanel. And when I was 22 years old, I got pregnant with my child Werner. Zanel was born in 2002. My son was born in 2004, but he passed away in 2005. He had a rare syndrome, and it caused dwarf syndrome. So he only lived for a year and a month when he passed away. And then only 7 years later, I got pregnant with his son. But at that time when Werner passed away, that was a nightmare.
I know when you were pregnant with Zanel, your husband went away on work. What was that experience like, being alone, a single pregnant mother, and your husband isn't there for you?
Well, I must say in the beginning it was quite difficult. I was 20 years old. I used to stay in Witbank and he used to stay in Steelpoort Steelpoort, I think. It was very difficult because I only would see him every second weekend. So he would come the Friday night and he had to go back the Sunday morning. So that was quite difficult. And then I can remember when I went into labor with Zanel, luckily he was still there, but I think the next day he had to go back to work. So he only saw her again when she was 2 weeks old. So that was a difficult time. I then went to a thing they called baby blues. We stayed with my parents, and my mom helped me a lot because my husband's parents stayed in Margate at that time. So we stayed with my parents. That helped me a lot. And then at a later stage, my husband decided now he doesn't like that anymore. It was fine when we did not have children yet, but when we saw Zanel when she was, we only saw her two weekends in a month. So then he decided no, he's not gonna do that anymore. So then he found work more locally in the bank.
What would you recommend with the partner? Should they go out and still work to get an income, or do it your way, where eventually enough was enough, and who found a job locally?
I mean, like my husband always say, money is not always everything. I mean, once you start having a family, I mean, like children, you do want to spend all your time with your children. So if you can rather get a job in your own town than working away, I mean, your children grows up very fast, and I mean, lots of times when you work away, you're not going to see their first steps or where the first teeth or, stupid little things. I mean, because you're not even there. So I would say, if you start having a family, try to stay local. Try to work in your own town, not far, because I mean you're gonna regret it one day when you're big, or when you're old. Sorry.
I have seen a different lifestyle, and what I've noticed is that you guys don't have much, but you guys are very happy and content people, and one would assume that the more money you have, the happier you would get. It is arguably both true and false simultaneously, depending, as I say, personality-wise. How do you cope with it?
Well, for us it doesn't matter. I mean, for me and my husband, it's as long as our children have a roof over their head, as long as we have our children with us, that's what makes us happy, is our children and our animals. We do have a lot of animals. We love animals. We love our children. For us, it's not about money. It's for us, it's about our children. We love our children. Obviously, we try as parents to give our children as much as we can possibly give them and what they need. So for us, it's not about money. As long as we have our children, and as long as they are happy, and as long as they have what they need, if we can give them the stuff they need, then we're fine, then we're happy.
When you see a spoiled child, what goes through your mind at that moment?
Well, you do get your spoiled children. I mean, it's for a parent to decide whether they're going to spoil their children rotten, or if they're going to give them the stuff they deserve or need, or if they only going to spoil them once in a while. So we spoil our children once in a while, because you don't want to raise spoiled brats, because that's just the way I see it. You don't want spoiled brats, because one day when they're adults, it's going to be tough for them. Sorry, but it's just the way I see it. I say, as parents, I mean, I've been a parent for a very long time now, you can spoil your children. There's nothing wrong, so don't get this wrong. You can spoil your children, but don't overdo it. I would say, don't overdo it, but you can spoil your children, so there's nothing wrong with that. When it's their birthday or Christmas, or just now and again you say, okay, here's a few bucks for you, or here's something I bought for you. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't raise a spoiled little brat, because you're gonna end up with long crocodile tears at the end of the day.
Whose responsibility do you think it should be for a child that does a message out? Should it come from the father, the parent side, sending the child a message, or the child having to make the responsibility to send the parent messages?
I would say, from my point of view, it's not, I won't use the word responsibility, it's not a responsibility, but I would say be the one to send the message, the child.
Why the child?
I don't know, it's just, I would say from the child, that the child must just send a message, say, listen mom, I love you, have a nice day, there you go.
Okay, you're a mother as well as a daughter.
Yeah.
Which is more, if I could say or ask, which is more personal to you, your mother or your daughter?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, because I mean,
Yeah, how do you tell which child?
If it's your mom or your child or your daughter, I can't actually answer the question because both your mom and your child is the same, has the same importance in your life. So I can't really say. It's like you say that you must choose between your mom and your child, and that's a difficult question that I don't think I can answer. I would say if you maybe didn't have a very good relationship with your mom, I think then your question will be easy because then it's obviously your child. But with me, I'm having a very good relationship with my mom and both my two daughters. Difficult question.
How do you ensure a good relationship with your mother as well as with your children? Because in some families, you know, it's very tough or very difficult. You know, some are very stubborn and you can't actually communicate as much as what you would like. How do you? Should it be the parent or should it be the child to back down and try and who should please who?
Yeah. With me and Estelle, we have a good relationship. I mean, she's still very young, and then me and Zanel's my oldest daughter, the 18-year-old. I'm sure from my point of view that me and her have a very good relationship. We can talk to each other about anything. Like, I mean, literally anything. She knows that she can come to me with anything. I don't care what it is. And when she was still small, I used to tell her, when something is bothering you or doesn't matter what it is, you know that I am there. You can tell me anything. And the same with my mom. I know I can go to my mom with anything, even if I want to complain about whatever. Or I have this joke I want to tell her or whatever. But you must make sure that you keep your relationship open with your children or with your parents. For you guys are still young, one day you're going to become parents. From the start, you must tell your children that one day, you know, when they're older, they must know that they can come to you about anything. They know they must, if something is wrong, even at school because, you know, being bullied or whatever, doesn't matter what's wrong, they must know that they can come to you about anything. So you must make sure that you can talk to your parents about anything, or one day when you have children, or me that have children now, they must know that whatever is bothering them or whatever the case might be, that they can come to you as parent. Not necessarily the mom, it can be the dad. I mean, your children can, as long as they can go to one of the parents, don't have to be the mom, it can be the dad as well. Don't count the dads out because their role is just important as the mom's.
Parents will have obviously children are parents, but they're often, as you were saying, you should be able to communicate with them. But how do you then balance out as a parent where the line of gossiping and spreading the rumor around in the family? How do you prevent that?
Well, I mean, if you talk to your child or you talk to your mom about something, you must know when to say what. I mean, sometimes, even if you have a very good relationship with your child or with your parents or whatever, there is some things that you must rather keep to yourself. I mean, because especially if it's something very personal or private, I mean, sometimes if your child or your parents might talk to someone, not necessarily trying to gossip, but it just gets out, and then you're going to be very angry with your parents or with your child because they spoke about it and it was actually private or personal or whatever. So obviously, even if you have this open relationship with your children or with your parents, I mean, there is some stuff that you do keep to yourself. So that's what I say.
For some daughter-in-laws or son-in-laws, they often sometimes don't have a nice, they don't have nice parent-in-law, either mother or father-in-law. In my case, I'm very lucky and grateful to have a nice mother-in-law. So how do you ensure to make the son-in-law or daughter-in-law feel comfortable so that they can actually share it instead of being very ugly, horrible people?
Well, I would say this, I will handle my son-in-laws the same as I handle my children. I mean, if you have respect for your children, you must have respect for your son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws. And if you tell your children that you love them, I mean, you can tell your son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws that you love them. I mean, they're part of your family now, so they also become your children, like your own children. So I would say the way you handle your children is the way you handle your in-laws, your children-in-laws, your son or daughter-in-law. So if you have respect for your own child, you must have respect for your son-in-law or daughter-in-law. So yes, that's what I say. Handle them with respect, and then you will also get respect back.
What if you had a horrible parent-in-law or a son-in-law? How would you deal with that?
Well, say for example, my son-in-law, he abuses my child. That's not just an example. That's a different story. Obviously, I will never have respect for that child. I mean, if he can't have respect for my child, or is abusive towards her, then he's going to end up with big shit, because I'm not going to take it, really. If it comes to my children, as a parent, I'm not going to take stuff like that. I mean, it's just an example. For if he abuses them, or can't, or don't have respect for them, then that's going to be a whole different story. Parents-in-law, I would say, just keep yourself away from them. If they are rude to you or don't have respect for you, I would say keep yourself away from them. You don't have to be there if you don't want to.